We really got a lot of great indie games in 2023. Dave the Diver, Sea of Stars, Cocoon are just some of the most popular ones, but the past year also gave us a lot of productions you may not have heard of and which are worth catching up on. So buckle up and let's start the fun with my next games. The first game on our list will be The Last Case of Benedict Fox. It's a dark Metroidvania telling the story of a self-proclaimed detective who, together with his demonic companion, must solve the mystery of the murder of two people and the kidnapping of their child. To do this, the detective and the demon help each other to go into the memories of the dead and relive their memories on their own, enriching their data with irrefutable evidence in the form of actual experiences. The game is full of puzzles and mysteries and is laced with beautiful visuals, and if at first glance you associated it with Ori and the Blind Forest, then quite rightly so. It's clear that the creators were inspired by the Moon Studios production in terms of graphic style, but also the gameplay at times looks quite similar. Some stages even seem to be inspired one-to-one, however there is something in this game that sets it apart from just such an Ori. It's hard for me to say what it is, but The Last Case of Benedict Fox has that something about it that keeps your attention and you eagerly learn new plots of the gruesome murder, learn new memories and defeat more and more enemies. And even despite a few cons such as the character animations and the untapped potential of the combat system, The Last Case of Benedict Fox is definitely a game worth checking out and is the game that everyone should play and fully immerse themselves in the style of Lovecraft's nightmare pouring out of the screen. I'm sure that the next production I'm about to show you was rather unexpected. Moonring is definitely a game that at first glance seems completely out of step with today's times, where the biggest games gaining popularity tend to aim at photorealistic graphics and beautiful worlds with lots of colors. Don't eat me up in the comments, but at first that's what I thought. But my friends kept insisting that I give this game a chance and see for myself that there is indeed something special about it. And what actually is Moonring about? Well, you may be familiar with the Ultima series of RPGs. Moonring is even a tribute to that series cranked up to the limits. Here you will find an open world, turn-based combat, a variety of enemies and an engaging storyline telling the tale of how the land of Caldera was engulfed by darkness and then illuminated by 5 moons, and how each inhabitant has since worshipped the gods assigned to a particular moon. Of course there are exceptions, and that exceptions are us as players, so we have complete freedom of whether we choose to praise any of the gods or we decide to remain fully independent. The game itself also explains very little. At times you have to think hard to understand given plots and grasp what to do next. The graphic style itself is also quite unique. Personally, at times I was lost in a huge wall of text and descriptions of items, but certainly people raised on this type of productions can fall in love with Moonring at first sight. Oh, and this game was created by just one man, which is crazy. Although the next game already came out at the end of 2022, it was 2023 that was its best year. The game in question is Pentiment, which even pours out of the screen with a medieval atmosphere, which I personally love. Already at the start we are thrown into a world of turbulent times of both religious and political changes. We take on the role of an illuminator who decorates books, and during our stay in the Alps we become embroiled in acts of murder and scandals. My favorite element of Pentiment is definitely the theme of old books decorated with beautiful illustrations where the fate of the world and its inhabitants is being written down, which runs through the entire game. The game is also extremely detailed, but on completely different levels than you would expect. For example, each of the characters we meet can talk to us and the words they say appear in the cartoon speech bubble above their heads. And what's so cool about this? Well, the style of the text in the bubble depends on the education of the NPC, so if we talk to, for example, a simple peasant woman, her spoken words will be written in a slightly lopsided and inaccurate font, while if we meet an educated scribe, the text in his bubble will be beautifully decorated and stylized. I love such details in games, which in this case perfectly complement the rather engaging storyline. Fans of Bloody Doom-like battles might definitely be interested in Turbo Overkill, a game that offers practically everything that Doom and Duke Nukem put together, and all this topped off with a cyberpunk atmosphere. Sounds good? then you should know that a lot of fun is waiting for you. Epic and bloody fights with enemies and bosses from which you can collect powerful upgrades, move around the map like Spider-Man, run on walls, buy upgrades for weapons and expand your skill tree. Shotguns, flying cars, saws, rifles, what can I say, it simply has to be experienced. If this extremely short description has interested you, I don't know what else you are doing here. Fly on over to Steam and try yourselves at one of the best boomer shooters on the market. But hey, actually one of the games that came out in 2023 is also Tales from the Arcade Starship Murder, created by us as My Next Game Studio. This is a rather unusual roguelite where the player must identify the murderer on the Persephone's ship. And here we are playing the role of Spaceship's AI, which will be wiped out if we don't point out the murderer correctly. What's interesting is this, that the murderer changes in every run, so there is no boredom after just one playthrough. As the player, we have to listen carefully to the conversations of the ship's crew and discover whether they are telling the truth or are lying, and in the process we also have to fight the viruses attacking our ship's system. All this of course under the pressure of time, which runs inexorably. The game has as many as 5 possible endings, so you are in for a lot of fun with trying out different decisions which can lead both to the correct selection of the murderer and to the complete erasure of the ship's memory by the perpetrator in order to get rid of all evidence. We invite you to visit our website and our Steam, where you can find both the game Tales from the Arcade Starship Murder and other productions created by us. And the next game in this video will be The Planet of Lana, a delightful adventure game telling the story of a little girl and her unusual friend who set out on a journey to rescue her kidnapped sister. Although Lana's planet was an oasis of peace and nature for centuries, one day sinister forces came to destroy the beauty of the world's landscape. During the game we have to solve various puzzles and riddles with which our cat-like friend will very often help us. In addition, we will have to travel through many locations. There will also be stealthy moments and dynamic escapes from hostile machines. An excellent soundtrack perfectly fits the atmosphere of the individual sequences and brilliantly conveys the emotion accompanying us. The Planet of Lana is also not a long game. In fact, it could even be called a kind of experience that simply has to be lived. Planet of Lana is so simple that both adults and younger players can reach for and will derive equal pleasure from exploring this mysterious and beautiful world. Now I'm going to introduce you to a game that is a perfect love letter to the comics of Junji Ito and H.P. Lovecraft. The World of Horror is a game made in 1-bit style and is painted in 100% in Microsoft Paint. 20 dark investigations and discovering the fate of as many as 14 playable characters await us. But hey, what is the plot of the World of Horror actually about? Well, the end of the world is coming and the only way to deal with it is to face evil forces. Ghostly apparitions appear in abandoned buildings and are putting the psyche of Shiokawa City residents to the test. The player must make his way through this horrible world at all costs, fight the wraiths in turn-based battles, and make unforgiving choices that can be truly crucial. The World of Horror is a terrific roguelite with multiple endings and is sure to appeal to all fans of Japanese comic books, but be warned, this is a game only for those with strong nerves. The 8th game on our list is LUNARK. The action of the game takes place on a planet where totalitarian rule reigns. While traversing the industrial terrain, we will encounter many opponents and story characters who will put our loyalty to the test more than once. And gameplay wise, this is a game inspired by such titles as Prince of Persia and Another World, so absolute classics of the 2D platformer genre. The game's mechanics are also very rich, as we can jump, run, hang on platforms, roll, shoot, all in order to get through all the stages with many enemies. As this is a game presented in cosmic realities, we will also come to explore the ruins of alien civilizations, a magical forest and huge mega buildings. And although the game is created in pixelated 2D, many times during the gameplay we will be able to experience brilliantly made cutscenes in the form of pixel animations created by rotoscoping method, which means the creator first recorded the image of himself performing a given action and then frame by frame transferred these recordings to his game in the form of great pixel animations. The result is excellent and perfectly diversifies the already interesting gameplay and storyline of LUNARK. Well, and the final game in today's video is HiFi Rush. This is a game by the same developers who have already scored such hits as The Evil Within and the Ghostwire Tokyo, and now they come to us with an excellent riff action game. In HiFi Rush we play the role of Chai, a rising rockstar who together with his group of friends stands up to corporations in musical rhythm. In this game literally the whole world is rhythmic and exactly in the same rhythm the player has to act. react. In order to hit successive combos, we have to fit perfectly into the beat of the melody playing in the background, which will guarantee powerful attacks and enemies will fall one by one. This is a very cool diversification for an ordinary slasher, because thanks to it, instead of dully defeating successive hordes of enemies, it is necessary to get into the rhythm. What's also interesting is the use of Chai's friends in the game. They can help us in battle, improve our combo and also help us during exploration. HiFi Rush is an extremely interesting game, which should be reached for by both enthusiasts of slashers and fans of games like Osu or even Guitar Hero. I am sure that no one who tries to play HiFi Rush will be disappointed. And that were all indie games that we prepared for you in this video. And the question of this video is, which indie game released in 2023 is the most underrated by gamers? Answer in the comments and we will pin you a heart. That's it for today on My Next Games. Next video on screen in 3, 2, 1. Stay tuned. Hey!